Hey y'all, here OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at the SuperBox S3 Pro. This is a follow-up to last year's S2 Pro, which remains one of the most popular IPTV boxes on the market. So it's a more expensive upfront cost, but it's a one-time purchase, and afterwards you're able to access a lot of media content, whether it's movies or TV shows, using it. Compared to last year's model, the specs on paper are quite similar. We are still talking about a quad-core ARM Cortex processor, which is coupled with 2 GB of built-in RAM and 32 GB of built-in storage, which that can be also expanded. That 32 GB of memory, by the way, is double the capacity of last year's model, which came with just 16 GB. With that being said, these are still pretty entry-level specs if you're comparing it with a phone, of course, but it's sufficient to get you by when it comes to just watching back videos. Here's just a quick peek at the specs once again. The other part that's new compared to before, though, is it now comes with a voice remote, so you can use voice commands to control things like watching different movies, searching up actors' names, and then on the inside we have, of course, the S3 Pro itself, along with a power adapter that's using a barrel plug and a included HDMI cable. So the box itself actually has exactly the same dimensions as the S2 Pro. In fact, you can't really tell it's a different model from afar. Still constructed out of a polycarbonate plastic with a small window on the front that has the LED display. Overall, it's pretty lightweight, doesn't take up too much space if you put it onto a counter. Full-sized HDMI AV option, as well as Ethernet if you don't want to use Wi-Fi, and also an optical port. On the right-hand edge, you also have access to a micro SD card slot for expanding the memory. You can also plug in 2 USB Type-A ports if you want to load back content from a hard drive, a thumb drive, or connect to other accessories like keyboards or mouse. Overall, it's a clean and simple design. Last but not least, we have, of course, the remote control. That is really the new part this year that has access to voice commands using a microphone located on the top, but we still have access to the forward D-pad. You can tap on the cursor to go into a mouse mode if you don't want to use it to select the keys one by one, as well as digits that you can use to go through a specific channel, so also a little bit more extended in terms of the connectivity range. It does, however, take 2 AAA batteries. The setup process is very fast. Just plug it in, connect to Wi-Fi, and you're ready. And there we have it. This is the main UI of the TV box, which is kind of familiar if you've also used other smart TVs. It is, again, connected to the internet, so it will automatically refresh itself with relevant content. Like right now, it's showing us a streamer, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, because it knows we're in this time of year. You can also access the App Store, which is just going to take you to either the Play Store or their own proprietary App Store that gets you a few more content, which is going to be more optimized for watching back movies, including things like YouTube. They're not loaded by default, but you can just click on here once to install it. Takes just a few seconds. Other services like Hulu and Netflix you can also find and install, just like any other standard Android TV box. And then kind of the specialty here would be Blue TV and Blue VOD. Now, one thing I am seeing though is the remote is not backlit, the same thing like on the previous generation model. So if you're someone that likes to watch movies in complete darkness, you get kind of used to the layout, but it can still be nice to have a backlight. Maybe they can add into next generation model, it would be even better. So things that you've installed you'll find under apps, of course, and you can see the full list, pretty clean out of the box. Again, nothing is preloaded. You have to go to the store there to download them. Pretty fast to install using Wi-Fi, and again, you have access to the regular Play Store as well if you wanted to further install something else that's not available, or let's say a simple game. Even though I wouldn't really recommend this for gaming in particular, it's really meant all about watching videos. You'll also find Miracast, so you can use this to wirelessly screen share and cast whatever is displayed on your phone's display over. Now, something I want to clarify is the remote control is technically a hybrid, which is using both Bluetooth as well as using infrared. So infrared allows it to work right out of the box if you're just using it for things like navigating the D-pad and typing in letters. But if you're using the voice control with the microphone, that data has to be transmitted using Bluetooth. So for the first time, if you tap on the voice control key when you first turn on the box, it's going to tell you to connect. You'll see this prompt that pops up, and then you'll see it start to pair and then connect. It's a pretty fast process. And when it's completed, you can then use the voice command. So if we want to try something right now, watch Black Mirror. And you can see that the recognition accuracy is pretty good, but I think out of the box, it may not be actually mapped to a specific application yet, so it hasn't actually launched into content that it's doing the search. You can also do an internet speed test just by launching there to see if you're connected to the internet or not. Overall, the remote feels pretty responsive when it comes to navigating the UI. I'm not seeing too much lag or stutters, which is good. I'm going to go into Blued VOD, which is the one that is commonly used from Superbox that gets you content access to movies and TV shows. You can set a parental password as well. UI here still looks quite similar from before, so it will push recommended content that folks are watching more commonly right now at the moment, and other seasonal content. Under newest, you'll see the shows that have been just added over to the collection, and then you can further slide along to see things like movies, categorized, TV shows, and then going all the way down to settings, see if there's any updates. And under movies, you can see all the different genres, new releases, Christmas, seasonal, can all be found here. So there's already a lot of shows here which are quite new. Things I'm seeing include The Matrix Resurrection have already been populated here, which is impressive. And overall, I would say it's a pretty good list of content. And right now you can see that under Adventure, we have 1,843 shows to search from. So most of the popular titles, especially in recent years, should definitely be available here for you to watch. And it's constantly being updated on a daily basis with additional content as well. Some categories are going to be a little bit more obscure, not quite as popular. You can see here some more artesian films, but overall not bad. Classics can also be found here. Short, superhero, and thriller, so on and so forth. Now, I'm curious to see as well, if we do kind of scroll down all the way to the bottom, we have just news, and it kind of ends there. So one thing that I will say though is primarily it is still going to be showing you content that is catered towards Western audiences. So English language films is going to be the extent of what you'll likely to find here, unless it's something super popular. If I tap on search here, by the way, I can use the voice control. So we're in the specific text box. I'm going to press on the button here, Parasite. And there we go. So pretty easy, and it's a lot more convenient than having to type out letters one at a time. So let's say I'm interested in a particular film. We're not going to really play too much, of course, just for copyright reasons, but if you click on one, you'll be able to see the IMDb score, a quick synopsis, you can add it to your favorites, and you can also tap on play. So it will load back usually in a few seconds. It is dependent on your network speed, but it's not too bad. Pretty comparable to what you would get from streaming something on, let's say, Netflix or Amazon Video. And I haven't really noticed too much lag or delay in my usage so far. Video just plays back, so definitely not bad. I will say though that when it comes to other controls, you may not have necessarily the most advanced settings. So compared to, again, platforms like Amazon or Netflix, you can control things like subtitles. Some of those more granular controls might be missing here, and the ability to also further toggle the video resolution isn't necessarily always available. All of the content on here will be at least in HD resolution, and typically in full HD, that is, but whether or not all the films and content will be available in Ultra HD remains a bigger question. I think that's still kind of in the minority, even though it's capable of outputting at 6K. Similarly, here's a quick look through TV shows, which is categorized pretty much in the same genres that we saw from before, and once again we have more or less all of the newest shows and ongoing popular shows on here, including Alice in Borderland from Japan, though it doesn't seem to necessarily provide a description for every individual episode. The same thing goes with live TV, so instead you would use the other app, which is Blue TV, to access that. It will tell you also what's coming up under different slots during the day, and also giving you kind of a synopsis as well, which is pretty convenient. Overall, UI I think is done quite well, and you can also do a bit of recording as well. Popular channels, Cooking Discovery, Disney, you'll find on here, Fox, even Spanish-speaking channels, are all found on here. So really a pretty impressive roster that they have here going on. Here now we're getting in the 800s, so this is a pretty crazy list. NBC Gold Premium is also on here, NFL Game Pass. Now we're almost in the thousands of channels list, so it really is just a ton of different content, specific games even that you can favorite and watch, music shows, it's pretty much all here. So there we have it. That's been the Superbox S3 Pro. Again, it remains one of the most popular IPTV boxes on the market, and for good reason. The UI is simple to use. It has a pretty exhaustive list of channels and content overall to pick from compared to other alternatives we've seen, like Tangula's option was a bit more restricted versus the selection here is more expansive for sure. Still can be further expanded in areas like global cinema, but overall still works really well for finding a lot of new content. So you can check out more details if you're interested in the links below. But for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.